Hello, my name is Gareth Colwell. I'm a marketing officer at Portsmouth International Port, and we put together this short video today to talk about careers in the port industry and the wide range of opportunities that are available to people. So to kick off, it's just a little bit of background about the UK's port industry. So it's a very diverse sector, embracing lots of different activities that are critical to many parts of the UK economy. We're part of vital transport networks which support domestic and international trade. So many things that you use around your home you will have come in through a port in the UK. So these can include things like fishing, passenger operations, leisure, so yachting, those sort of things, car ferries, which we have at the port, support for the offshore industry, such as oil rigs, gas rigs, international cables, coastal defences, environmental sciences as well. So over 90% of the UK's international trade by volume comes through ports. So what about Portsmouth International Port itself? So we're the UK's most successful municipal port, which basically means we're owned by the local authority, which is Portsmouth City Council. So a lot of the profit that we make goes direct to council services, so £8 million in a typical year, which has a great benefit for other council services which have been under strain over the past decade. We're currently investing around £30 million into an ambitious plan to revolutionise our cruise operations, to boost cruise trade, improve facilities for ferry passengers as well, and also help increase the amount of cargo that comes through the port. We've been recognised as a quality organisation of the year, so that basically means we leaders in a wide range of international standards, and that's been now recognised on an international level. Sustainability is also a massive thing for us as well, with lots of investments due to be made in the port over the coming years, including hopefully wind turbines, and also an increased number of solar panels on the site. We've already got some, along with a very sustainable terminal which uses seawater to wash the toilets and uses wind catchers on the roof for air conditioning. Also looking at getting a revolutionary energy storage system, so we can store all that energy that's made by solar and wind and use it later in the day, so when it is needed. We've got long-term agreements with customers such as Brittany Ferries, so that's got 14 years to run on it, and looking to establish long-term agreements across the port to make sure we've got a sustainable business going forward. The port's also home to Portico, which operates the two conventional quays at the port, so moving a wide range of cargo from bananas and soft fruits right through to wind blades, aggregates and grain. So here's some economic statistics that we had compiled last year. So we support over 5,500 jobs across the UK with activities at the port. Have over £700 million worth of non-EU trade that comes through our terminal as well. Make a £390 million contribution to the national economy. So, and also we also look after around 80% of the trade between the EU and the Channel Islands, and the second largest port by volume on the south coast. We've quite famously been known for importing around 50% of the bananas in the UK that come through Portsmouth, and also facilitate 1.8 million passengers going to France and Spain every year. We also, as the Port Authority, look after the wider areas in the harbour. So that's another 2.7 million passengers that use the Gosport ferry, another 4.4 million that go to and from the Isle of Wight every year. So to flesh that out, that's 9 million passengers a year that pass through the Port Authority area. Then on top of that, you've got 300,000 freight lorries, 250,000 of those coming from France and Spain, so from those big agricultural regions of those countries that produce a lot of salad goods, and soft fruits that we all like to buy in our supermarkets. And then there's another 50,000 movements to the Isle of Wight. Then if you look at all the passenger vehicles as well that travel upon the ferries at the port, that's over 1 million vehicle movements in total. We've got the largest fruit import facility in the UK, and we've also just recently purchased a new crane. So our two newest cranes over at Portico, when they're used together, can lift up to 250 tonnes. So can deal with some of the biggest loads out there. So a lot of what we would call project cargo, so things used for big infrastructure projects. Recently we took in a large satellite test chamber and loaded it onto lorries to be taken to the UK's new satellite test facility. We're the second largest cross-channel port and got the most European ferry destinations. And we're also identified as a major port by the Department for Transport. So here's a nice aerial photo of the port. You can see all the different areas. So sort of in the background you can see the naval dockyard, which Portsmouth is very famous for, home to the two aircraft carriers and obviously a lot of historic ships as well. So right in the distance you can see Warrior there and HMS Victory in the Mary Rose Museum. But in the foreground, so you'll see an area with a pink line around it. That is the Portico site. So those two conventional quays, you can see two ships up against those in the picture. So that's where all those things like your fruit and your project cargo and your grain and your aggregates all come in over there. As you move down the picture, you'll see an area surrounded by a yellow line. So you're moving into Portsmouth International Port, which is also known as the cruise and ferry port. So this is where all our ferry and cruise operations take place. So you can see there the terminal building. So if you're going to France or Spain or the Channel Islands, you'll either drive through the check-in gates, then go and wait to go through security, or you'll come into the terminal building and come and check in, and then get some refreshments and sit down and have a relax before you get onto your ferry. And then you've also got your freight gates down there where your lorries come in, then they'll come in and wait. Then you'll see an area with an orange border, which is the unaccompanied freight. So some companies will come in and drop the trailers from their lorries, and then they'll be taken onto the ferries by a tug and then picked up by another driver at their destination, which is an area which will probably see an increase in the coming years as trade changes with the impact of Brexit. And then you've got an area there towards the right, surrounded by a green line, which is mainly used for dealing with Channel Islands freight. So as mentioned, around 80% of the goods that are consumed on the Channel Islands come through Portsmouth. So it's a really, really vital route for Jersey and Guernsey that trade keeps flowing through the port. So as you can see, it's not a humongous port, but we do a lot with the area that we've got. We make that area work hard. So here's some information from the British Ports Association, who are the trade association speaking on behalf of UK ports. So they've calculated that there's around 115,000 people directly employed by the UK ports industry. So then think about all the other industries that UK ports support as well. So add all that up, that's a really substantial amount of people with lots of opportunities available. So there's just a brief overview there is also of all the sort of careers that ports need. So running through deck hands, corporate affairs managers, office surveyors, parking officer. There is the list is pretty much endless. So what we're going to do now is go through some of those areas in more detail. So here's the bit you've been waiting for. So here are some of the careers that are available in the port industry. So we're going to have a little run through these. It's interspersed with a bit of video as well, with some examples of those roles at work. So starting in the top left-hand corner, you've got harbour masters and marine pilots and other marine personnel. So they are concerned with making sure that everything on the marine side, so on the water, is done safely and effectively and have a wide range of responsibilities. So here you can see a ship being pulled out to port with a tug, and aboard that ship will be a marine pilot who helps the captain of that ship navigate within the port or harbour, because they won't have experience of those areas. So you need someone with that expertise of the local area on the ship to help them navigate safely. So next up, you've got port operations. So this is a really big area of what happens within a port. You've got people, you've got key operatives, forklift drivers, right up to head of operations, and this wide team of people make sure that not only ships are moored safely, that then the freight that's upon them is then moved efficiently. They have to operate such things as heavy machinery, forklift trucks, mobile cranes, and a range of other reach stackers if they're dealing with containers. So here you can see some of those operatives at work. So this is moving some fruit off a ship coming into Portico. So you can see you got your crane driver there moving those pallets across, and then you've got your two forklift drivers there coming straight in to pick those up and bring them into the refrigerated warehouses. So a wide range of roles there, and real opportunity to come in at a low level and actually work your way up within the port as well. So a very popular role within the port. So a team that works really closely with port operations is the passenger operations team. So in a port like ours, where we deal with lots of passengers that come through, a passenger operations team, so we've got a passenger operations manager who oversees all that side of the operation. So this involves making sure that everyone passes through safely, the security protocols are looked after, and that the customer experience is also up to the required standards. So this means looking after the terminal building, make sure it looks nice, it's got the right range of facilities in there for all the passengers. So there's lots of opportunities within that sector there for a customer service type of role. And then you've got engineers. So engineers at the port are the people who keep us going. So all the plant, vehicles, service boats, and general infrastructure, lighting, everything across the port. We have in-house engineers that help look after and make sure that those things are carry on working. So here's an example here, just coming up. So you've got a wind blade coming in there to be discharged onto the quayside at Portico. So engineers will be on hand to make sure that those the cranes are working, are maintained properly, and if there was a breakdown for any reason, they'll be on site to make sure that they could get those cranes up and running as quickly as possible, because you've got to be very, very acutely aware of tides and the fact that ships have other places to go as well. So there's not, people can't hang around for a long time waiting for their loads to be looked after while you do a repair. So you need to work quickly. So there's mechanical engineers, civil engineers, electrical engineers. So we've had civil engineers working on our recent berth extension over on the cruise and ferry port, which we'll talk about more in a minute. And then, so also within the port, you've got lots of jobs that you also see in other industries. So, for example, we've got administration staff, we've got our own finance team. Health and safety is incredibly important in a marine environment. And then there's communications and marketing people like myself, who make sure that updates go out onto social media and people know about the port and produce all the marketing materials or the brochures, get photography arranged. And then you've also got business development teams, which are incredibly important. So we've got a business development manager at the port who works very closely with the business development team at Portico. So they're always out there looking for new opportunities, travelling to different countries to try and talk to people from different businesses to show them that Portsmouth is a really good option for them to be able to bring their business. There's also personnel related roles, so human resources, looking after people, and also IT as well. The smart ports are becoming a really, really big thing with small portable computers within machinery, helping get people to work in the most effective way possible. So the IT element of the port is one that's really, really growing. So lots and lots of different roles, and also it's just worthwhile mentioning that Portico have a customs agency. So it's something that we is going to really, really grow in the coming years, because they've been dealing with for many years, because we have shipments from all around the world coming in that we need to make sure we've got the right paperwork. But vacancies in the industry are going to increase rapidly. All goods coming from the European Union will require customs clearance from the 1st of January 2021. So there's going to need to be well-trained people that can deal with these people and help businesses get this stuff done. So that's a real area of growth that will be coming in the next few years. So I thought it'd be good to give you a real world example of some of how all these roles work together to undertake a successful operation at the port. So recently we had the Majesty of the Seas come in. So it's a large cruise vessel. So it was the largest one that we've ever handled. The first one to use our new extended cruise berth. So it came in to repatriate some crew and to restock on stores. So who was involved to bring her to the port? So before she even arrived, you got to think about, well, how did Royal Caribbean know about us? Well, that is the work of the marketing teams and the business development team. So it's the marketing team getting the name out there, then it's the business development team, working their contacts, trying to make sure that people know about the port, as mentioned earlier. So and making sure they have the confidence they can bring their ship in to Portsmouth and we'll take care of it safely. And then we've also, because mentioning the new extended cruise berth, so making sure that that was ready on time. So the civil engineers at the ports, the port project manager and our head of engineering, working with contractors to make sure that the ship could come in safely and the berth was ready. So now you can see in this video, you can see the ship coming into the harbour. Past the two aircraft carriers, so now doing a turn. So this is our marine pilot. So aboard that was one of our marine pilots, Nick, along with the harbour master Ben, who navigated that turn in, coordinating themselves with the tugs. And then you bring it alongside. So then you've got your key assistant working with the berthing master to make sure it's moored up safely, and then attaching all the gangplanks and making sure that it's safely moored against the quayside. And then you move on, and then once this ship wasn't carrying passengers at the time, but there were crew that needed to leave, and crew went on some shore leave, and also some were going off the port. So then that's our passenger operations manager, who's then coordinating with the staff on the ship to make sure the security protocols are all followed. Then there's also sort of health protocols because of coronavirus as well, to make sure there's no issues there. There's also another role for the marketing team within this to make sure that we got all the correct footage, arrange for the drone operator to come in to take the photography and the video content, record all that. Then our finance team need to make sure that the cruise operator are invoiced. Health and safety staff need to make sure that things are all done properly, and personnel teams make sure that staff are kept safe as well. So as you can see, for what seems like just a ship coming into the port, there are so many different people involved that to make it happen. And as someone who's personally only worked in the maritime sector now for a year and 3 months, but my main experience of the maritime sector was living quite near the sea. But it's a really, really interesting sector to work within, and I would really recommend it. So, even if you're not looking at one of those sort of very, very specific roles, maybe like becoming a marine pilot or port operations, or but to become an engineer and work within the port, or work in marketing and work in the port, there's always different stuff happening, and there's a lot of there's never a dull day, and it's a real growth industry, and within this industry, with the British Ports Association, there's a camaraderie amongst ports as well. So I would definitely recommend it. Maritime UK have got lots of resources when it comes to it, and also British Ports Association are worth checking out to look into the careers sector more within the port industry. So yes, so I hope that was useful. It's sort of a brief overview. If you've got any questions, then by all means send them to port.communications@portsmouth-port.co.uk, and I will drop you a line back.